priest. I mean, I knew what they were, even though my grandmother was Presbyterian. I knew what that was. And they had rosaries, and they said, "Blessed are the children." And they were in spirit. Kind of find out later that it was a Catholic hospital years ago, the older hospital. And so I looked down, and someone's holding my hand, and it's Jesus. And he has this inner light coming out, and he has a beautiful smile. He has like perfect straight teeth. He, I noticed these things because I wore braces 5 years. And so he looked great. And he, at the time I didn't have him braces, but yeah. And, but he was very glowy, and he was holding my hand, and he said, "I have something to give you." And I said, "A toy." And he thought it was funny. And he took something off his belt, like a straw belt, and he wrapped it around my left wrist. And he said, it's like a friendship bracelet. And he said, "Much is given, much shall give." Through the big things, the small things will be done. And through the small things, the big things will be acknowledged. So he said I had to go back. And I said, no. I saw children playing. It was a field. It looked like paradise. It was beautiful, the colors. And I saw children playing. And I said, well, they're here. Why can't I stay? And so I argued with him. I mean, I talk to him like that now, like, why do you want me to do that? I mean, I just talk to him like a person. And so he said, well, you can stay a little bit and we'll walk around. And he said that I had to show my mom how to love, because he said, you have more love in you than she does. We walked around. He explained to me, we sat on a big rock in front of a really pretty tree that looked like either dogwood or cherry blossoms with red, looked like grapes on it. He says, we don't eat from it. And I'm like, okay, I wasn't, thinking of eating. And so he said that it's a wise tree. And he said I could ask him anything, and I asked him a lot of stuff. But one of the things he said is we manifest with our minds. And when we speak with our mouth and our words, that an energy comes out, and that we should be choice in our words, and we should be more careful. And he said in heaven, they create instantly if they want to do something. Here, it takes longer. So I asked him to give an example. Can I do an example? And he said, sure. And I thought of being in a little boat. We were in a little boat on the water instantly. And then 3 little fish came up to him, and he pulled one of them out and kind of talked to it and said, hey, put it back down. So this is how we fish here. So I was with him a while, and then he would show me the hospital to see your mom. And he was trying to tell me to go back. And then he was telling me about my mission and what it is. Basically, he says it in the Lord's Prayer, bring heaven to earth. I mean, it's pretty, it's not a secret. Okay. It's the whole love and light thing. And, but he was explaining it, and I was like, I don't know. That seems like a lot of work. That's what I told him. And he thought that was funny. He said, well, there's more people like you that I'm having to do this. You're not just alone. I'm like, Well, anyway, finally sold me. And I said, yes. And then I had, when I was 10, I had a drowning in Myrtle Beach. I was on family vacation, and I was just under the water, and I was playing, and there were some guys playing volleyball, and I was 10. They were like 13. They didn't see me there. And I was probably like hovering around the cute guys, because, I'm like, ooh, older guys. And I got hung up under their feet. And then I started seeing the, underneath the pool, it started opening like a horizon where light was coming in. And I started hearing a choir of angels. And I do remember going, you're kidding, not again. And then I remember being next thing awake and water coming out of my mouth, lifeguard. And then at 28, I had a reaction to a menstrual pill. And that was really interesting. It was like a bell went off, an alarm went off within me, and I don't know why I couldn't talk. I couldn't get my motor skills. Like I actually could not talk. I don't know why. So I got up, got out of the bed. I couldn't wake my husband. I don't know why. It was weird. And I went, and I was like a zombie, and I turned on the TV because I thought if I could follow what people are saying that I'd be okay. I only had one. And many near-death experiences are sensitive to stuff. I'm like allergic to so many things. And so, I began to hear this, this, and then I started seeing all the furniture and everything decompose into white lines. Now, I didn't realize, I didn't know anything about this stuff at the time, but I found out later that that's actually one of the steps at the Monroe Institute, the white lines. I didn't know that. And so I'm seeing that, and I'm like, this isn't good. And then I didn't know who I was. I didn't know my name. I didn't know if I was male or female. And then next thing you know, I'm in the galaxy. And but yet I was bilocational. I could still see my body, but yet I was out there. So I just took one finger and just tapped it into my leg and said, come back. Cause I knew, I can come back. It wasn't like I got my head cut off, I can come back from this. And I put myself back in my body. I kept touching till I came back. It took a while. And so that was just a different state. It wasn't as far as the others, but it was kind of the whole I am thing. I mean, I just was, and I was a part of things, and I just observed. So had a lot of spiritual experiences too, but each time I believe I lost my filter. And I think that a lot of near-death experiencers, that's part of their, I can't prove this, but I feel like it's part of our contract. Did I agree to sexual abuse? Hell no, I didn't agree to sexual abuse any more than someone agreed to a disease, but maybe I agreed to learning humility, understanding people that are tormented. You know what I'm saying? Maybe to understand this better. I didn't know what the lesson was. So, I mean, we do live forever, so it's not like it's the worst thing. And of course it does make me, it did make me tougher. I'm a fighter. I'm a light warrior. I mean, I'm a freaking first degree black belt in Hapkido. I was the only woman to make it through in 10 years. I walked down with my 5-inch stiletto and long nails. And the worst thing that happened was I had to lose my nails. And they thought, oh, this girl is not going to make it. And oh yeah, out of 75 people later and 8 years later, I did make it. And I was the only woman. So it made me tough. And I think that we have these lessons in life that help us in who we are. And maybe I needed that so I can help tell others, be yourself. Don't let anyone stop you with what you want to do. I don't care if you want to join the circus and train poodles, do it. It doesn't really matter. It's your life. And you need to not let anyone impress upon you what you should do in life or how you should feel about something or someone. That it's yours, and we're here for a short time. I mean, we do live eternally, but to me, I'm such a supporter of people really finding who they are and then just grabbing onto that and being all of it.
That is amazing. Okay, so I want to let everyone know that Tamara, because she did give us the highlight reel, she does go into more detail in Jeff Mara's podcast. So if you look for Jeff Mara and you type in Tamara's name, you'll get to watch. I've got
actually more on mine. If they go to my channel,
go to all right.
Yeah, mine. Because mine,
she's like,
no, go to mine. Don't go to Jeff Morris. Go to Seeking Heaven, the near-death experience and other phenomena. I actually have a PowerPoint with the images of the firehouse, with the Uriel. I go more into, I don't do that on his. I go more in depth. I actually start crying on mine. It's really kind of sad because I actually decided to be more vulnerable and tell more. So there's actually more on mine. And you can see there's my little girl picture, and you'll see me, and you'll see it on it's the Seeking Heaven, the near-death experience of the phenomenon. You'll see it. And it's more vulnerable on that. And like I said, I actually put photos with it because I thought that people like that. You know what I mean? They like a visual.
Yeah.
All
right.
We'll put the link in our group too. In our Facebook group, we'll put a link
good.
to that.
The near-death experience of that. Yeah, it's kind of touching. Yeah. It's vulnerable. Great. It was difficult for me to do, but and you think why? I mean, it was so much easier coming out as a medium than this, and I don't know why.
Well, because it's your details, and it's you on the other side, and it's you experiencing Jesus, it's you experiencing oneness, and when you're relaying those things, you're going back into that vibration, you're going back into the experience, which has no words, which is just pure love. And our physical body does not know how to contain that because we are the opposite here, where we're in separation. So it is very vulnerable. Ladies, you have some lovely questions for Miss Tamara?
I do. So your experience as a child meeting Jesus, and you said you kind of went over it very quickly, but you said some amazingly profound things. I wrap you in love, protection, and wisdom was one of the things that you said he said to you.
Actually,
And
I just got the chills again when you said it. So he's totally here.
yeah,
I mean,
and I
he'll
got the
show up
chills
like
when you
that.
said it. It was just, when you said it, it was almost like this is a universal, I wrap you,
Yeah.
that we're all feeling that. And
Mhm.
so I just wanted to give that feedback that I felt it when you said it.
Really?
And
I felt it when you said it again, because it must be truth. You know, when you feel truth, it just kind of radiates through your body like
Yes.
a good goosebump.
yes. And the other thing when you said it was through the big things, the small things will be done. And through the small things, the bigger things would be acknowledged. To me, that's such a huge statement. Have you ever sat and thought about that and what it means to you, or as things evolve?
You know, when I look at, you know, I think, okay, we're not children, we're all grown up. So we have lived a certain amount of our life now that we can look back and start putting the pieces of, just like if we were supposed to, like, for example, a life review, where you just kind of quickly went over your life. If I was a kid, so-and-so, did this happen, that, how was this kind of kid? And you just kind of go through even the things like, you know, like I had party years, and I had really ding dong idiot people that my husband's like, oh God, why do you want to hang around her? She doesn't even have a brain cell. I'm like, well, she's fun to party with. I don't really need a brain cell for that. And I go like, why that? And why did I go through that? You know, why did I go through certain silly things, you know, that were really seem meaningless? And, you know, it's all the development of our soul. And, you know, apparently we keep doing this, not only here, but on other planets. But now I look and it's, you know, apparently I must be hard-headed, but it is in the smaller things. It is in the smaller things we do. Because, for example, I'll have in a reading, let me give you something random. I just actually gave some examples on my show. I had a priest on talking about crossing over spirits, but I have had random people come up in readings, right? And the most odd one was there was a man. I was doing a medium, psychic medium reading. I do them all online. I've done it for years like that because I do all over the world. But anyway, I'm on there, and the guy, I said, there's this man I'm describing. He's like, no. I said, well, he won't leave. Can you help me? Can you try? Let's figure who out he is. And he's like, okay. And he said, you met him every 2 weeks. And you would go to this building, and I described it, and he finally went, oh my God. And I said, what? And he goes, he was the guy that I would go get my unemployment checks from. And he goes, why is he coming through? And because this is a small thing, because when he would go visit, they would have wonderful talks and laugh and have a great time. Well, the guy had no family. All he had was a cat, and he was a recluse, and he had no friends. So he came through to thank the guy, to treating him like a person, that he was so happy and so excited when he showed up. So we don't know the little impressions that we do that are so random. I've had janitors show up, like, why would the janitor? He said, oh, he was so kind to me. And we're back to what Kat said. We think in our head we're separated, but we're not. We're all this interconnected, energetic blanket of activity and love. And the more I see how things are connected, there's a massive plan going on. And is it God and orchestrating like a puppet? Look, I don't know how it works, but it's going on. Is our consciousness part of that? Yeah, it's probably all of that. But that would mean that all of our consciousness is agreeing to this big game, including the games that we don't like. I don't like to say that. It's not pleasant. But look, there's some advantages that, you know, we've all gone through this isolation and blah, 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 and all this mess and rights. But people are waking up now. Light workers are actually working together. Before this, light workers were lone wolves. They did not work together. Now they're like, God help us. We got to work together. We don't blow this planet up. We better get together soon. And they're working together, and they're working together happily, and they're enjoying it. It's never happened before. Never happened like this. They're coming together like you guys are coming together with Eye Salon. They're coming together, and they're bringing others like you to bring this to look, it's more powerful when similar people say the same thing of that love vibration, but in a different way. And so you're saying that you're saying, I'm now getting people that I would have never gotten to read, like policemen, city planners, teachers, that want to know, not just medium. They don't want to hear just from their grandma, granddad. I mean, life path stuff, like Akashic record, deep stuff. And they're like, yeah. And they're waking up. They're which used to be people like us waking up that would want to know these things. Now regular people want to know these things. So there's some very positive things that are occurring.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a as the pressure intensifies, we're all being asked to step up into greater roles, and the community piece is huge now. You absolutely nailed that. And the thing is that I'll say, just before we move to the next question, is that in a lot of NDEs, because I've watched so many NDE shows now, where they're like, okay, so Jesus is showing me the time that I helped the little lady across the street, not the award that I got, not this big achievement, not when I became CEO of blah, 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 but that time when I reached out and asked that homeless person how they were doing and gave them my popcorn. That's the thing that Jesus brings us back to and says, did you see what you did there? Do you see your love touch that person in their most darkest, loneliest moment? You did that. You did that with me and for me. Thank you.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's a, yeah. And so I want to ask you, I want the ladies to hop in as well, but I just got to get to the point where you see Jesus in 2017, because that's blowing my mind. So will you tell us about that?
Yeah, I will. Okay. Well, first of all, my relationship has been with him. I never knew religious stuff. So I never knew to put him in that box because I never really had that. So he was just like, my grandmother said, he's your friend. You can talk to him. Honestly, every medium, because, I've trained 8 years in the British style evidential mediumship. So we would train in classes of 65 people. I've met people all over the world, mediums. My grandmother has come through every session with everybody. And then she brings the people through. She's like the maitre d'. But, I see where I was like, oh God, I just had a thought to cut that off. Say that again. The last question. I had two thoughts.
That's okay. I do the same thing. We're ADD.
I know. Yeah.
It's Jesus when you saw Jesus show up.
Yes. Thank you. And so thank you. That was my two thoughts. Okay. So she would tell me, so every medium, blah, blah, blah. They said my grandmother was a medium and intuitive. Everybody. Well, that's, I think, why she protected me so much, but it was not really safe at that time in Hickory, North Carolina, to come out and say, hey, I'm, this, especially when she was already flamboyant and a business owner. Women were not business owners then. I mean, she was in charge of a hosiery mill, socks and stuff. And so, that was just one more thing they couldn't have handled. So I didn't know the dogma. Okay. So I just talked to him. So that's how the relationship that I have. He's very funny with me. He makes jokes. He's actually sarcastic. He's very funny. But think about it. If was at shipyards where the prostitutes hung out and stuff, in places and the unsavory people, whatever, they told him dirty jokes. They told him things that were off color, and he had to be pretty chilling to deal with it. I mean, realistically, it's not like, oh, his little ears, he's heard it all. So I just tell him everything. But my husband and I were in 2017, we were going to go see Hall & Oates because it's just just a nice concert, and they're very good musicians. And so it was July 17th, 2017. The concert started at 7. It was 6:15. So it's summer. So, it's bright till 9 p.m. Right. I mean, so 6 it's like the sun is not even down yet. It's just starting to bring, a little, it's not the high sun, but it's coming down, but it's still bright. And so we're looking for a parking place for downtown Charlotte. What that looks like is condos and places as you get into the city. So you have to slow down. And so he said, I'll look on this side, and we're looking at $10 or $20 parking, which one's cheaper, which one's closer. And he said, I'll look over here and you look over there. I was like, okay. So other than me getting ready and what I was going to wear, and it was so cool because I remember I have a picture of that day. I have to pull it up. I had a long sundress with God mandalas all over. It was beautiful. And I thought that was unusual. Anyway, and then I stood behind a building that had God mandalas. I went, God mandalas. And I took a picture. I was like, look at that. So he's looking, I'm looking. And again, other than me just getting ready, and now I'm looking for a parking place, I'm not thinking about anything else, because if you, in any city, but in our city, if you go too far past, you got to go all the way back around the city again. Right. So I'm not like thinking anything like, ooh, we got to, stop soon. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm not thinking about Jesus Christ. I'm thinking about cheap parking and close. And so I'm looking, and like a child, it was like Tourette's, but it's like my soul knew. I'm looking for parking, and I yell out, "My Lord," like attention, like a soldier. And I went like this, and I went from looking to this altered state, and I screamed this out. God bless my husband. He's so easygoing, the stuff he deals with, and he's normal. And so I start looking in the distance, and I see this little teeny person, that I'm talking to myself. My soul is going, no way, no way. Now at this point, I don't really see any like what that is. Do you know what I mean? I see it's a person. I can't make out any detail, but my soul is having a conversation. No way, it can't be, it can't be, it can't be. We're getting closer. And as we get closer, we're not going that fast. I mean, I don't know, 30, 35 miles an hour. So I have time to take this in.
So this person, just to clarify some details here. So you said you looked out the window and you said, "My Lord," because you saw a person?
No, I saw nothing. That's what I'm telling you. I was over here looking at a parking place, and I went, "My Lord," and for no reason, like Tourette's.
Okay.
My soul knew, that's what I'm saying. My husband, he deals with so much weird stuff. He just rolls with it. And I didn't see anything, but then my soul knew to look that way. And I'm looking, and I see a tiny little figure. You don't even know what it is yet, but my soul, I didn't even see anything yet. And so I'm looking, I'm going, it can't be. I could feel it. I could feel the presence of, okay. And I was having this inner conversation. So that we get close, and then my eyes are engaged, and I can begin to see. And again, we're not going fast. This whole thing lasted 3 or 4 minutes, which I think is quite long, quite honestly. And as we get close, I'm looking at him from a distance. He's in the middle of the medium, which, think about it, nothing is ever by accident. Not meeting people, not anything, not whatever. We know this, right? Why was he ahead? Why was he in the middle of the medium? It's kind of like Johnny Cash, middle of the road, that freaking song he sings. Why was he ahead? Like, I got this, like I'm ahead of you. I mean, I'm just saying, in the medium, in the middle. Why was he in the middle? He wasn't on the left. He wasn't on the right. I wonder if there's a statement and all that too. And so, like, I'm not choosing sides kind of thing. I'm in the middle, or I don't know. So I began to see him, and as I get closer, I'm looking at him, and I really got close to him. We were very close to him. I mean, because my car was here, the medium was there. I eventually saw him very close. But as I come upon him, I began looking at him. He had on dark green khaki pants. He had on sandals, not Jesus sandals, like Birkenstocks, nothing like that. Okay. They were leather, and they had 1 or 2 single straps that matched his pants. Later on, he said, "Well, I knew if I was going to see you, I'd better match." That's what he said. He's really funny. But so that's how he comes through to me. It's funny. Okay. And he's very funny with me. And so the dark green, and then he had this, it looked modern, but like, I can't say, oh, he bought it at the Gap. Like, I can't say that, but it looked modern. He had on a tunic to his thigh with pockets, and it was like, it looked like his clothes were really pressed. You know what I mean? Like really clean, and look really clean. He was not glowy. I have to be honest. He was as solid as me and you. He's totally the flesh, 100%. But he looked really clean. I mean, so clean. He looked like a model. And as I got close to him, his hair was below his shoulders. It was brown with gold highlights in it, like he's been at the beach. And his skin was coppery. And he looked very healthy. He was muscular. I mean, he was muscular. They always show him like depicted in paintings, skinny and stuff, because they didn't want people to think he looked sexual. well, if he wasn't Jesus, he was sexy. I mean, I hate to say sexy Jesus because God forgive anyone. I don't mean it. He was beautiful.
Jesus is hot. Hashtag
I mean,
hot Jesus.
I'm just telling you, the Son of God one that looked good. The real one looks better. He had perfectly groomed. And I was looking for bracelets and tattoos. Now I'm up close. I'm looking for bracelets and tattoos. And I'm having this conversation of crazy in my mind right now. Like it can't be. And maybe it's this, maybe it's that. And I was thinking, okay, he's a model. And then I went, maybe he's a metrosexual hippie, because he was so clean. His hair looked bouncy, like, he should just bounce it around. And I'm going, I'm trying to make sense of this because he looked too perfect. He looked, how models, when they're all like airbrush and they look, that's what he looked like. But he didn't look feminine, but he looked different. But his hair looked very bouncy, like a hair commercial. And then as we got closer, and I'm gawking. I don't care. I mean, I'm just totally engrossed in this moment. And now I'm over the seat looking at him. I had a long dress on. It was fine, long sundress. But I'm looking right in his face and right at him. A normal person would have laughed, like, you're acting crazy, or they would have looked like, what are you looking at? He had no expression except for one I've never seen on a human being. And I don't understand this. And I don't even use these words, but it was the face of purity. He looked at me with purity and love and no judgment. He just looked at me with pureness. And I don't really know how to describe that. Only time you really see that is like on puppies and babies, because most people make little faces and do stuff. There was none of that. It was just a pureness. And I was hysterically at this point crying and laughing like a crazy person. Yeah, I was like, that was my reaction to that. And it lasted. And then I slapped my husband in the back and said, look. And as soon as I went, look, and turned, he was gone. Now, there's no way he could have left that fast at all. But I don't think he ever left. He's back in the day, the biblical days, he was seen before 40, some people. I don't think he stopped doing that. They go, Christ consciousness. No, it ain't his consciousness. He's real. He is real person. He is real. I saw him and it was a sunny day. He had no light going through him. He was not a mirage. I saw the grass come around and curl around his feet. But he was doing that back then. Why can't it says he's the same as yesterday, today, and forever. So why can't he do that anytime? Why can't he do it on other planets? Why can't he do that here?
That's
so I have
amazing.
a question.
Yeah.
And then I'll let Jillian go. My thoughts are that Jesus comes to us as we are comfortable seeing him. He meets us at our level of coming in. And so, because we have that black Jesus, white Jesus, brown haired Jesus, blonde haired Jesus. Sometimes he looks this way, sometimes he looks that, depending on who he sees. And I think that that's one of the things that can create divide with us is just even how we describe Jesus can create divide.
Right.
And
well, he didn't look like anyone I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he's white and I wouldn't say he's black. He didn't look like anyone I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
I got to be honest. I couldn't really say. People go, he looked foreign. I don't even know about that. He just didn't look like anyone. I can't really say it. He just didn't look like anyone I've ever seen. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. He looks like his own thing. So I don't think he was white or black or this or that. I don't think that. And you know what? If he wanted to appear in an old, black woman sitting in a chair rocking, he could do that. I mean, he can do anything. You know what I mean? I mean, apparently Jesus is from Syria and so is Mother Mary. So he's a starseed. He could show up blue if he wanted, I guess. But I'm glad he showed up very handsome looking to me because I approved. He was really beautiful. So I'm glad he did that with me. So
I love that. Jillian, did you have something?
Yeah. Well, there's a couple things. I mean, this is all blowing my mind as it is. So when this conversation first started up, like I had a visual that my roof disappeared and there were angelic beings looking down into the room like that. I don't know, that said a lot for me about the direction that it went. But I had an experience last year where I was driving, and I normally connect with spirit while I'm driving. Like that's primarily when and where I connect. And I was taking a back road and I felt this presence beside me. And I looked over and I'm seeing through my mind's eye. Like I'm not seeing physically through my eyes, but I thought, is that Jesus? And he was sitting there
everywhere.
I swear he was wearing absolutely pristine metrosexual clothing. And just like he kind of turned his head and he smiled and he had this man bun in his hair. And I thought, oh my goodness,
Okay, so what did you think? Did he look really perfect like a model?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. But he looked kind of hip too, didn't he? Like he's modern. Yeah.
He had
did he have jewelry? Did he have jewelry?
I didn't notice if he had jewelry, but he had, so the way that I saw him, he had jeans on, but very, very clean. Like there was, everything about him was very, very clean and bright, but like modern kind of tighter jeans. And he kind of had his legs up on the dash while he was sitting there in this black jacket that looked like not a puffy jacket, not like a leather jacket. It was just, I don't even know how to explain it. Like it was this beautiful black jacket with these zippers and the collar kind of popped and the man bun. And I just remember thinking, wow, that looks very, very metrosexual.
And I know that. And I think, I think what I'm saying, it was just, he was pretty.
Yeah.
But still masculine.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know how, and, you know, we're so busy labeling stuff. And that's the whole point that Jesus really got onto me in July. In July, he told me, no, it was August. So I did Jesus Speaks, which that's free channeled Christ messages. And you can see that if you go to the Seeking Heaven Near Death Experience channel, right on other channels, it's right there. And it says, Academy of Love. I had Christ Academy of Love, but I was afraid to be taken off because I was taken off of Facebook after 15 years because I just started posting these things. And they were about, you know, love me, I'm your best friend. He just talked about love. I mean, you know, big shock there. And he said, don't listen to man because they'll lie to you. Yeah. Because people have greed and their reasons. They do things and we're just little pawns. We're little peons. He said, listen to me. He said, I'll, you know, I'm your best friend. I'll tell you. And so, and I think that's why he's turning a lot of people on. They're all of a sudden getting intuitive messages and so forth. And in some ways for me, especially, it's easier to connect with a person than like God, the divine. It feels great, but like I need someone to talk to. And so to me, you know, it works great. I mean, there's others there. Yeah, I work with Archangels and, you know, all of that. But so I did the Jesus Speaks. He asked me March 2020. He said, he's never asked me anything, but he came to me and he said, not a vision. Like I hear him. I can hear him. I can hear, you know, as it go, hi, Tamara, I'm Jesus. It doesn't sound like that. It's just real quick telepathy in my head. And he said he wanted me to carry his messages and he has some messages to give. And I went, no, I'm not doing that. And then he asked me again a day later. And I'm like, look, I don't feel comfortable with this. Certainly there's somebody else you can pick, some little sweet Mormon somewhere. I really don't, because I'm thinking, here comes the attacks, you know, like, who do you think you are, blah, blah. And so then he said, well, do you care more what other people think or what I think? And I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of low. I kind of care more what you think. And he said, and so the third time he came back 3 days in a row and I said, okay, I'll do it. So I did it live twice. You can see the live ones. And then people wanted to know like readings and stuff. And I'm like, this is for the world. And so I actually was losing a lot of hair during this period of March to July. And I was nervous in the beginning, especially because it was a lot of pressure. And so he said, look, I don't need to wake you up in the middle of the night and you write this down for 2 hours. Why don't you just sit in a chair and I'll just tell you. I went, okay. And so we did that. And then I would record it and give it to people. And then he would tell me stuff like First Peter, so-and-so. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll write that down. I don't know what that is. And then I would look it up and I was like, oh my God, it's exactly what he said. But he would give me 3 or 4 of those each time. And this went, and there was basically, it was a message of love and encouragement, but it was love, trusting him, that kind of thing. So that July, Facebook didn't like that. They took me off. And so, which was bad because I had 5,500 people and I had 15 years of family photos and so forth and different things. So because I was posting these things and not the whole video, just the link to it, that was it. So then I was upset. I didn't understand because I used it to promote like the Eins events and so forth. And Jesus in August said, I want you to start seeking heaven. And he told me the name. He said, seeking heaven, the near-death experience of their phenomena. He said, I want you to have mysteries, all religions. I want you to have things with space. And I said, what about Bigfoot? He goes, him too. He said, everything. He said, but I want you to learn about labels. And I said, what do you mean? He said, people label themselves and they let others label. And he said, you do too. And I want you to learn about that. And so I did. I said, I did. I remember having certain people on my show and I noticed I would start judging them. I didn't realize I did. I didn't realize I did this. And then I would see, and then I realized, he said, I said, they don't love you like I do. He goes, you don't know that. And he said, just because they look at me differently than you. And I was like, okay, true. And then it turned and I started loving people. And then I tried to have NDErs that were Christians on the show. And then they judged me because I'm a medium. And so I've had 3 or 4 absolutely would not come on because I'm a medium. And I said, well, that's just, where they are. So, and then through this whole journey, I did it just to be of service and what he said. But then, then I started having UFO people. And then I since then turned into a starseed. Like, didn't see that coming. But I thought it was just for other people. Honestly, I didn't know that it would help grow me so much and the people that I had on, because I would channel who to have on, primarily. But he told me just 3 months ago what the name meant. Seeking heaven, see the king, he. And I said, all right, then what does Aveen mean? He goes, look it up. He's a teacher and a rabbi. So he was like, look it up. And it means one that descends from above to below. See the king, he descends from above to below. I said, that's cool. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, he's all things, he's not stuck to any religion or anything like, he didn't start that. He didn't start off that really.
And he wasn't a Christian. He was a Jew.
He was a Jew.
He wasn't,
and he was a rabbi.
Christianity came after him. Yeah. So there's all this. Ms. Seashell, I know you have questions as well. And I also want to say, I don't think you're a medium, Tamara. I think you're a medium high. I think you're a little bit higher than a regular medium. You're a medium high. Oh,
that's so cute. That is so cute. You know what? We're back to labels again, because when we say I am a psychic, and then you realize, well, wait, I'm doing all these other things too. I'm doing healings now. Then you limit, and I actually channel a lot. And I told Jesus, I said, I had the worst time, and I know that y'all were going to laugh at this because I know you probably feel the same way. I had the worst time coming up with a name for myself. And I don't mean Southern Belle Medium. That was kind of fun. People couldn't, they can't remember names, but just like, what do I call myself? And I said, well, I could say messenger, but if I say Southern Belle Messenger, I sound like a postal service. And so because people in this world don't understand what we do. So you can't get too obscure because they don't know this stuff. And so and you know what Jesus told me? It's very sarcastic and funny. God, it's so funny. And this went on and on for like 2 years. I don't know, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to be judged here. What do I say? What do I call? I don't know, and spiritual, so-and-so, it went on and on. And he said, you know what? You need to quit worrying about this, because people are going to find you and they're going to label you what they want anyway. And that was sarcasm. People do label us. And that was meant to be funny. They do. Yeah, they do. They do. And that sounds horrible, but I was like, wow, okay. It wouldn't matter what, whatever you do in life, there's always somebody that's going to say something. So I was like, yeah, that's true. What's the point?
Yeah, absolutely. And also, Kat, you're all of a sudden, we can't hear you. I mean, I can hear
That's
you because
okay.
you're in
You
my
can-
living room.
I'm in your living room. Yes, hop in, Seashell. That's what I said. That's what I said.
Okay. This is so fun, Tamara. Again, thank you so much for being here.
Oh,
I love
gosh, thank
Jesus
you.
too. This is so cool listening to you talk about this because I have this wonderful connection too. And when you were talking about how beautiful he is,
Mhm.
that was my experience. And my first time I had an experience with him, I was 12 years old and I was in church. And he
Really?
had come and knocked on the window and wanted to come in. And at the time I was in a Mormon church, and you have to dress a particular way to come into the
Ah.
church. And the priest, well, they called it the bishop, turned him away 3 times.
Oh, Lord.
And all of a
Mm-mm-mm.
sudden he turned and looked at me and I went, oh my God, that's Jesus.
Did he look good? Did he look like a really handsome homeless guy?
He was totally, he had cut off shorts and sandals and a t-shirt and long hair.
Was he
But
muscular?
he was clean and muscular and
Yeah, he was
strong
muscular.
and pretty tall. But when his face turned at me and I just, boom, it was
Wow.
amazing. It was like
Wow.
the universe exploded within me. And I just went, they just turned Jesus away.
Did you know that at 12, that's what happened? Or did you have to think about it? You did? You knew?
I knew it immediately.
Did you feel it? Because you could remember how I felt the presence before I saw it. Like I'm la da 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 da, and I'm like, oh, I felt the presence, and it's hard to explain. It's a supernatural love,
Mhm.
no judgment.
Yeah. It's almost being scooped up and lifted without being moved. It's like,
I don't know. It's good stuff. And on the other side, it is so good. It is so good. You don't want for anything. I'm just telling, it is just good stuff. It's a supernatural acceptance and love. It's not like he's an entity. It's like he engulfs you with love. I can't explain it. It's like,
yeah.
it's just, it's not anything I've experienced here.
Mm-mm. No.
So, quick question
And there's
before
no,
we change gears. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, there's no words to describe these kind of things. Our language is too small
Mm-mm.
to describe the vastness of what being in his presence, or even and it doesn't even have to be the physical presence either.
Mm-mm.
I've loved Jesus my whole life, and I didn't even kind of know about him until I was 16, 17 years old. And it's absolutely amazing. But when that essence comes in, when I always call him in prayers and the Christ consciousness, and it's this massive upwelling of energy. There's just no word for it.
Yeah, I like the word essence. It's good. So I'm going to tell you something really funny. So it was 2015, and I was asked to speak, and I came forward like a few months before that. I don't know why I did it, but whatever. I called the International Association of Near-Death Studies and said, yeah, I've had a near-death experience. Tell me more about this organization. And I knew a little bit, but I just wanted to talk to someone because they were headquartered, 3 hours from me. So I thought maybe I should do this. I felt inclined to do it, and I did it. And then I get a call back 2 weeks later. How would you like to speak at the conference? Well, it sounds great, right? I was mortified because I didn't want to talk about any of this. So they said, well, we'd like for you to speak, and if you help with the bookstore, we'll comp your ticket. They were like trying to get me there, and then I ended up really donating a lot of my time. They have a room you can do readings, and where you earn money for the organization. So I did that too. And what was funny is I worked at the bookstore, and I did that. And then I just did a lot of charity work while I was there. So part of that was doing these readings. So I was very nervous about this, but I got a lot of support from people, and I actually got tremendously sick because I was going through my pneumonia without talking about all the horrible things I didn't want to say, but I had to move through the incident and leave out that. So I literally almost got pneumonia again. I had to go to the emergency room the last day, and they put me on, this is how sick I was, 3 antibiotics. They gave me a shot, a liquid one, and then one to go with me. That's that's some stuff right there, you know? So I'm in the reading thing and I'm reading, and it started happening then, and it hasn't stopped. And why, I don't know. I guess because I don't care. I just say stuff, maybe because that's why. I mean, I don't know why he picks certain people, but so I'm reading a lady and Jesus shows up. I got to have a t-shirt that says that Jesus showed up, you know, beep, put some sparkles on it, you know, and so she looks at me like BS, you know, like, yeah, right. And I just sat there and I went, and she started crying. She goes, Jesus here. I said, well, I told you that. I just let her feel it. I just wait, and came through. So then, and he came through. It was evidential. It's an evidential reading from Jesus. And he does that with me now all the time. But some people aren't interested in him, but when they are, he'll come through big time. But he said to her, he said, I said, he's telling me you're a nurse, and there are people that don't have families. And at the end, you hold their hand and pray with them because you don't want them to die alone. And she said, yes. I said, Jesus is telling me all this. He said, you have favor with my Father. So you have favor with him. I said, go ahead, girl. You got friends in high places. And she was looking like, oh my God, how do they know? I said, oh yeah, they know all that. They see all what you do. And so her mama was like 80 something. She was there. So I saw her in the hall with a bunch of people. She's like, oh, I got to have a reading. I said, well, I'm all filled up. And then she's like, I said, all right, I'll get there early. She goes, well, I want to talk to Jesus. I said, well, it's not like I can download him like he's Netflix. I said, but we can ask. I'm sure he'll show up if you ask. And he did. And what was beautiful with hers is that when the mama came in with her little rocker. I always say I have a loyal crowd. They're not always sexy. Here she comes in with her little walker. And it came through that she had her husband and son, both named Ray, came up. They were on the other side, and he's setting up a place where described it looks like their lake house. And then Jesus came through and he said, you're giving me mixed signals. You're telling me you want to be with them, but then you got grandkids you want to be with. You're saying, and she goes, well, I have cancer and it's bad. And I said, okay. And I said, Jesus told her again, you want to go home, but then you got the grandkids. And so what he did is I have him blend with me. Like, you know, most videos I have him blend because, you know, it's good. I kind of like it. I don't do that with everybody, but, you know, it's Jesus after all. And so he blended with me and took my hand. He's done this a lot. It feels so good. And he took her hand and he just lightly touched it. And he says, I got an idea. Why don't you just stay here a little bit longer? And he winked at her. That was it. Oh, how cool is that? And isn't that the sweetest thing?
That's so sweet.
It's so sweet. It was just so sweet. He's just so chilling. He was like, you know, and then she was like, okay, because she wanted both. So she'll end up getting both. She'll end up being with her grandkids and eventually going home to her loves, her son and her husband. So, but he shows up a lot reading. So I've had a couple of people blow him off. Like, yeah, I don't want to talk to him. I'd rather talk to my mom. I'm like, okay, then. I was like, okay, your choice. I don't really care.
I've had that happen before too. And I'm like, you're turning away Jesus? Are you crazy?
Well, let me tell you something really weird. There's a lot of, okay, not a lot. There's a few. Okay, pet peeve here coming out. So there's a few near-death experiencers that, have met Jesus over there and they blow him off. And I have a friend who's a medium that I tell this to them. She goes, and I'm like, like they blow him off. Like he's like, hey, it's so great to see you here. And he's like, yeah. And they come back and they just, you know, like it never happened. I'm like, you know, free will. I don't know what to say. But one of the phenomena I noticed doing my YouTube channel, the Seeking Heaven channel, is that I didn't realize that, and I told you this, Kat, is that, and it was something new to me. Like it took me a while to figure out what I was looking at, but some near-death experiences are followed, like they have like groupies, not sexual groupies, but groupies, stalkers. And just because someone had a near-death experience does not mean they're super wise. You know, if you're a ding-a-ling and you have something happen, you still may come back and be a ding-a-ling. You know, but I get these great, and then it was funny because I have a friend, and I shouldn't say who it is, but he's had multiple NDEs, and he's from England, and I was talking to him about this phenomenon. This is the weirdest ass thing I've ever seen, and he goes, "Okay, okay, Tamara, I have to tell you, happened to me. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, there was a very attractive girl and she was stalking me only because I've had so many. And I'm like, don't you think that's weird? He goes, yeah, no, actually, I feel really bad about it now. And I'm like, it's not normal. I always tell people, go, you're a empath, use your inner compass. You know, hopefully you only see me once. And then, you know, you're like a little butterfly. There you go. You know, you know what I'm saying? Learn to trust yourself, learn to trust your intuition. And I mean, hopefully we'll all be examples to people to say, you know, you can build your intuition, you can learn from it, you trust it, you know, this is our innate thing. You learn to trust that. But yeah, there's a lot of NDErs that don't always go to the higher realms. And I'm not judging. I mean, it's still a learning experience, but I think that we shouldn't elevate anybody, honestly.
Well, that's the
it's just weird.
That's the whole thing with ND. I mean, and again, because you can't generalize any of this because people have very specific experiences. There are some NDErs like Miss Linda who went to like the waiting room, the world between worlds, and you know, came back. Yeah, well, she was psychic anyway, but she came back even more psychic. And then we had a guest on, Claudia Edge, who had a similar experience as Linda. And it's like, she's at, you know, like Claudia is one of the sweetest, warmest people you'll ever know. She didn't go hang out with Jesus and go play with kids or, you know, like any of those traditional things.
Well, sure.
She's the sweetest, warmest. And then you can have other people who have these exalted experiences and are like, well, I did hang out with Jesus. And I, you know, and it's like they come and somehow it activates their ego. So it's, you just have to take people for where they're at and not expect them to be different.
That's exactly right. I guess what I'm talking about, I've had people that I know that have gone to more of the scarier, hellish realms.
Oh,
is what I'm talking about. And and people are probably not going to like to hear this, but I don't have them on my channel because why? I don't want to scare the crap out of people. I want to encourage people. Look, we turn on the news. We're already terrified as it is. I mean, my God, you don't even want to walk outside the door. People are looking at you like, you know, homeland terrorists or something, you know? So I want to keep it loving and love and light. And I just had someone on that was in the middle area that talked about the beautiful experiences he learned. And it doesn't mean anything bad. It just meant sometimes you're in that holding area I call the murk, which some people call purgatory. I don't know about that. That's a religious term, but it's sometimes you need learning and stuff before you come back. And you weren't meant to go any further. But I think because I was a child and I knew that person, it was just a safe person for me. And I needed that because I was so traumatized and did not want to come back that I needed that figure of love. I needed it because of it was horrible sexual abuse, hiding under the bed, hiding in the closet, being pulled out under the bed. It was awful that I needed that, or I don't think I would be here right now. Yeah. We all get what we need at the time. I'm
glad you're here.
Oh,
I'm glad you came back. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank Jesus. he resurrected me. Thanks.
He was the one that said, you can go back and you will. Boom. Like you're going
and he
back.
was like serious. He was not friendly when he said that.
Yeah.
He was like mama bear or daddy bear. He was serious. And I was like, and I kind of went, you know, like that. But yeah.
Sometimes that's how, you know, and archangels will show up that way as well. It's like what part needs to be pulled out of the oneness to get you back into your mission. That's the part that will show up. But let's switch gears. And I apologize. I think if I was unmuted and I was popping in there, visually didn't mean to do that. I wanted to talk and switch gears because we only have a little bit of time left. And I wanted you to talk about your otherworldly experiences and you waking up to the galactic stuff. Because again, you think, okay, psychic medium, you know, I'm connecting with Jesus. What the fadoodle is all this ET stuff? Like that's going to be part of my experience. And even though you think, oh, well, she's had all of this, she knows all this. Like, no, there's still levels of waking up. So let's talk a little bit about that, lady.
Okay, so yes, well, I will dive into that, and I try to be an unedited as much as I can, because I try to be giving of myself. With that said, it's funny, since I'm coming out with this, either I'm going to lose a lot of subscribers or gain some, so I'm like, just depending. This was not in the plan for me. This is one of those God things that I did not see coming, and how all this starseed awakening happened. It was happening before I knew it. You know how if you look back, you go, oh, well, it was already into play, but I didn't know it. So I had been, I guess I had been getting dreams, and I'll talk about that later, with on the Galactic Federation. Anyway, I'll talk about that later. So I had been getting dreams, but I didn't think anything. So with, all this is going on, you imagine a year ago, riots, this, that craziness, it's upheaval. It's very upsetting. Then you got your friends and family, and then your families arguing and this and that. And I'm like, oh my God, my energy, I've tried to meditate. My energy is so wonky. So I have a friend who's a psychic medium in South Africa, Priscilla Gendrum. And she knows all these people because she has a wellness conference. And she said, you need to use my friend Fiona, because she's really good and healer. I said, no, I got to have someone high level, because I don't want anybody putting anything weird on me. Because I had a friend who's a medium, went to a shaman, and I had lots of shamans, but this particular person, she had to have a freaking exorcism afterwards. I didn't know that was possible, and she goes, no, Fiona's cool. She's cool. She works with the divine. It's all good, love and light. I was like, all right, fine. So I see this woman from South Africa. We're doing a Zoom session. I said, now, what is it you do? She goes, well, I'm a Palladian. I'm like, okay, I don't know what that is. And then she's saying, well, we came here 150,000 years ago. I said, well, how do you exactly know this? So she told me that story. And then she told me a little bit. And then she goes, well, today we're going to line up your chakras. And I said, cool, let's do it. So I'm laying down and I'm using discernment. I'm going, this is weird, but I don't feel anything evil. And as we're doing it, she's bringing in her Palladian people. She's bringing in the council. She's bringing in Jesus, Metatron, St. Michael. And I just felt it was very relaxing. But Pleiadians, what they do is they don't do, when you line up your chakras from your root chakra up, she doesn't do that. She works it through your heart, your center. So everything's through the heart. And it was actually beautiful. And so what she did, and she didn't really tell me, maybe I didn't understand. She wasn't lying. She just checked first. And they said, okay, is that she gave me a Merkaba activation. So I didn't know that. I felt a lot better. I didn't even know what a Merkaba was, the two triangles put in one another, but then they turn real fast. And so after the session, I start seeing these things. I didn't even know what it was, a Merkaba. And then it was about a couple of weeks later, Priscilla said, oh, we're doing a meditation. There's a portal thing opening. Do you want to be in the meditation? And we had like Ireland, UK, whatever. But I thought there were 6 of us, but it ended up being some global live stream thing, and I'm sitting here with I just thought it was a few of the people I knew, and I put them in some glasses, and I'm like, no makeup. And I'm like, okay, have my hair up. And we're doing this thing, and Suki, she's doing this meditation, and then we go, and we come back and says, anyone would like to share, man. And I went way out into space. It was great. I had the Council of Light, and they were surrounding me and all this. It was like so good. And then I ended up going on the Galactic Federation with Jesus and Astor, and they gave me a moving Merkaba, and they said, here you go. I said, what's that for? And it was all telepathy. And he said, that transforms whatever you think into whatever you want. And I said, well, I'll put it in my heart, and then I'll have more love for people. It's corny, right? Real corny. And so and then I go through kind of some, oxygen kind of, and then I leave the ship. They're really into cleanliness. And so I'm telling this, was anyone like share? I start telling that. And there's a Morse code that starts coming through burp, 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 on the computer. And then every time I try to say it, then it blanks me out. So then we go later, I'll look at the recording. I'm missing.
Every time you try to say what? Every time you try to say what?
What I just told you, the story.
Oh, okay. And is it Ashtar? You're saying you saw Ashtar?
Ashtar. I said he looks like
Jesus.
a Swedish guy. and Jesus, they're like, they work together.
Wow.
And so they call him Sananda. And so, which is Jesus. I mean, you know, there's names, but anyway, so, Asher didn't have the personality like Jesus, does. You know, Jesus is kind of funny, makes jokes. He's kind of serious. And so I was like, all right, I got this Merkaba. So my, one of my Shih Tzus had heart problems. He's a rescue. So I put my Merkaba in him. I said, I can't do that, can I? He said, oh yeah, it's infinite, like Miras, you know, like a Russian doll. You can just give your Merkabas and help as many people. I was like, I can, okay. So
To your Shih Tzu? To your Shih Tzu? Is that what you
yeah, I
said?
put it in his heart core to keep his heart going.
Okay.
And so, because it's rotating and moving really, really fast, it's like a ball of energy. And I was told that the archangels use it like a like an atomic bomb to blow back fallen angels. They go with the Merkaba. And I was like, cool. And so I went and looked, and I'm like, I guess that's kind of true. But anyway, but it's just transformative, powerful thing. It's a power thing. So but and it can also be used as a vehicle, whatever, you know, a little Merkaba car. But so then I had, it was 3 days before I had Craig Campoboso, who is, you should have on your show. I love him. You would love him. He's a big time Hollywood casting director, but he's so down to earth. But he's written several Julian Starseed books. Yeah. This is you would love it. His name is Craig Campoboso. I have 2 of his shows on my thing, and they're awesome. You should see them. You see them when you can, because he goes over all this stuff. And I said, you're not human, are you? He goes, no, people like you always get that. So, okay. So I met a Palladian, then 3 days later, I met another one. Never even knew what that was. And then he's talking about his book, Thyron, and he came out with a book, The Intergalactic, what is it? The Intergalactic Almanac, Species Almanac. And there's 86 in it, but he said there's so much more. And there's beautiful illustrations in it and everything. And I started reading it beforehand. And when I met him, when I finally got to meet him, I went, this is channeled. He goes, yeah. Because I was reading it thinking, yeah, whatever. And then I was like, oh my God, this is real. And so it was really interesting. Then 3 days later, and he's talking about all this stuff. And so then I guess it was 6 weeks later, I had my second DNA activation, and I started glowing afterwards, inside out. I totally glowed. I mean, like, la, hello. And I was like, is this really happening? I mean, is this just me? Does my hands look like I'm glowing? And then Fiona actually took pictures, and we have it on film, and she goes, yeah, you're glowing. And so the third one I did, which opened up 100 chakras and 12 light bodies on different planets, that was a rush. And the end phenomena of that is you don't have a button on things. So I didn't feel anything really spiritually shifted. I just knew, I just didn't have labels or buttons on things afterwards. It was just like, it just was gone. That's all I can say. It was just gone. So the second time with her doing this, and then I'm having guests on in between. So, and it's all it all interacts, which I didn't realize that. But the second one, I remember being an angelic blue Syrian in my mission here. And she told me, well, you know, it's the Angelic Syrian League of, I'm like, it's a thing. I'm like, I don't know. And so anyhow, and I work for the Office of Christ. I'm going to create t-shirts that says, I work for, and do this really cool, you know, thing with wings, this real geometric, you know, like a Merkaba across the Office of Christ. I just think that'd just be so badass. People like scratch their head, like, what the heck is that? You know, and other people like, yeah, I work for that too. So does Saint Germain. Okay. There's some others. There's some ascended masters. Okay. Just saying, you know, all the ascended masters, you know, that's their deal. And I know you know that, Michelle. And my sister is also spelled Michelle with one L. Yep, you're the second one I've known. And so anyhow, I now have Preston Denton, which you guys have had. I love him. Is he not wonderful? And when I first got a hold of him, I found him on his site. I was just directed, And I actually called him up. I said, hi, I sent you an email. I'm Tamara. And I said, you weren't going to answer, were you? And he's like, no, who is this again? And I was like, you're awesome. And so he came on and we started talking. And in between, we took a break. I told him about the dream. And he started laughing about me being on the galactic ship. I went on a tour on the ship, how the ship works, what it looks like, how everything's holographic. Had the little jumpsuits on, what Aster looked like, how he's talking to me. And then afterwards, they take me to these showers, these little Asian people. They want to give me a hot soup and hot miso soup and some tea, and they want me to shower. And I said, I don't want to shower. And they said, yeah, you'll feel better. And
this is astrally, right? This is your out of body.
Astral body.
Okay.
I've been OBEing since I can remember, because, and also the sexual abuse. Yeah, because of the sexual abuse, I can pop out at will. And for some reason, if I want to, I can go into a trance at will. I'm also a physical medium. I'm a mental, and I do a lot of healing with mine, not just healing energetically, but healing whatever the words. Usually it's like between the spirit people, and they're like, now just listen to them. It's like intervention. But I'm also a physical medium, so they can move my body and stuff. I love doing that on stage. I do that all the time. I did a strip tease with this African-American man that did it in front of his wife. And she goes, oh my God. Because so that's how he let her know who he was. And I said in my head, I said, you owe me. It was really bad strip tease. It was like really awful. And she was laughing so hard and crying. And her daughter was with her, who's grown, was laughing. Anyway. But going back, so Preston said, oh, I have those same dreams. And he's laughing. I said, crap, they're not a dream, are they? She goes, no, honey, they're not a dream. And I went, okay, so they've been talking to me. He goes, yeah, they've been talking to you for a while. Yeah. And so, cause he can do, lots of things as well. And I said, okay. And so then that happened. Now, so the whole Pleiadian thing, now bring it up to date, 2 months ago, my husband, Clay, and I, we wanted to get away. So we went to Asheville with the dogs for 4 days. It rained like the whole time, which is cool because we saw like reruns of stuff and slept. It was fine. I never sleep. I work all the time, 12, 15-hour days on my channel. I'm just producing, and it is a lot of work. And so I was fine with that. But so we're going to the mountains, and we're not in a remote area. We're staying in like a really nice little chilling neighborhood that we're renting a place. And it was like an Airbnb kind of thing. And on the way, my husband goes, look at that. And it's no doubt it was a UFO. And he's like, I said, well, look at that. That's a UFO. Like, we were not even upset or anything. We were like, yeah. And it was orangey, fiery red. And it would go zip, zip, zip. And then it came right beside my car, and it hovered there for a while. And I said, hello, friends. How are you? I did it. Hello. I'm so happy to see you. I mean, like, that's not a normal reaction probably. And it stayed there for a while, and then it left, and I was really sad. Didn't think anything about it. So then I had Mary Rodwell on my show, who's called the Alien Lady from Australia. She's very well known. And Ray Hernandez. Ray Hernandez is also well known in the UFO community, and he also works with consciousness. He's a Consciousness Contact Research Foundation. He was on. So she tells me, if you see a UFO, it's never an accident. They know who you are. And Preston said they know you by your energy signature, and said that you always get a download. And so they said, let me see if I have it. I don't know. I think it's in the other room. I'll have to see if my husband can bring it, but I'll show it to you. But I started drawing light codes, and I didn't know what they were, symbols. And then and I didn't know what it was. I looked it up, and I was looking it up different ways, activation, light codes, whatever. And I found out what I'm drawing was Syrian. And yeah, like the Syrian disclosure in the movie Stephen Greer. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. This can't be a coincidence. And then this past Sunday, I saw a mothership over my house. WTF. I was coming back from the grocery store, didn't expect that. And it was, but what I put together is that I saw that August 15th, just this August 15, 2021 at 8:00. That's when we saw it. right? The first one, the orangey one. I saw this 2 months later, Sunday, the 17th, the same day, essentially. Oh, my husband's bringing me all my light codes I drew. It is the one, it is so sweet. It's the one
Thank you,
that's
Clay.
in that. It's, he's so good to me. No, hon. It's the one that's in the blue book. I think it's up the laptop. It's not. And it's in that book that looks like marbles on it. And I put my channeling in it. So anyhow, that it was exactly Sunday, the same day, same time. Okay. So now I know they could have come September, but I missed it because I didn't know better. That's it. That's my light coach. Thank you so much. Because he's so nice to me.
Thank you, Clay.
We've been together since 19. He's so cute. He's so sweet. We still got a thing for one another.
Get his face on here.
Huh?
Get his face on here. Is
I
he
know.
too shy?
I want to. He's very shy. He doesn't
Okay.
like public, so he's very shy. But
Okay, all right.
I have on my channel. Actually, it's under. You'll see their hot pink backgrounds, and it's February. This past February, and I have love leaders. I have one on romance, and you can see us when we're young and when we're older. And my wedding dress is very over the top.
Aw.
My wedding dress is very over the top.
I can't imagine.
It looks like
I
bunny
can't
ears
imagine.
this high. It's like whoopity woo. It's like the 1800s, like that immense amount of
Whoopity-woo.
pearls and rhinestones behind my back. It is
Ah.
so over the top. Because when I walked out, he'd look at me, he'd like, what the hell is that? It was like 3 big loops on my head.
He's
It
like,
was
are you
huge.
the bride or the cake? I don't know what we're doing. So I wanted to ask you, because real quick earlier, you said, I don't have any kids, but did you say you have hybrid kids?
No, I said furry kids.
Oh, furry kids. Okay. I was
Furry.
like, did you
I have
flip to the
furry kids. I
hybrid? Okay.
could. No,
You
I
have
don't.
Hybrid kids. That's
And
an extra
so-
revelation.
So I started drawing these light codes, and I'll show you these. And then, by the way, the one that I saw, and I'll show you a picture, I drew it this Sunday. I'll just wrap that up. I was coming back from the store, and I'm seeing in the corner of my eye before turning into my driveway. We're kind of off the road. I'm looking, and it's dark, right? Because it's 8 p.m. And I'm looking up, and at just the corner of my eye, I'm thinking, oh, that must be a plane. No big deal, right? And I look, and I kind of glance. I'm not really, I'm kind of looking. I went, what? And what it was, have you ever seen a crystal where the light catches it and all those luminescent, the colors come off of it? Like it's like not one, but like it just sprays out. It was all like that around it. And then it had another light source coming out, and it was an oval, but it wasn't a skinny oval. It had a little girth to it. And it was big as, I can't say on YouTube, but it was big as, okay, beep. And it was as big as, how big? A town? Okay, like a town.
Whoa.
Like I couldn't process it. I could not. I'm going, and I'm going, I had to literally go, okay, it's so, I don't know anything that looks like that. So then I get on the cell, Clay, come outside quick. There's a freaking mothership in the back of our yard. And he's out there looking, I don't see it, but we have so many trees. So this is what I'm going to do. And I'm positive. I just know this. It's going to happen. This coming November, I'm going to go in a field, a schoolyard. They like schoolyards, but something where I don't have my trees. I got so many trees. So it's open. I'm going to film it. I'm going to have both cameras, and I am going to have a galactic experience because they want to interact with me. I'm going to get it if they'll let me. I don't know, but I'm going to meet them because they apparently want to meet on Sunday, the second Sunday at 8 p.m. I'm serious. And so here's the start of some of them.
Whoa.
And then
Oh,
here's
keep
that.
it
And
up,
say,
keep it up there and talk for a minute. Keep it up there and talk for a minute so we can still see it,
Oh,
because
I
those
got
are
some.
very detailed.
I got some more. Okay. And here's more. Okay.
Tamara, that triangle with the swirls in it, that's very Syrian.
Well, considering that it's come, and then the second, what was it? The second, it was the second DNA activation. She invited the Syrian council there, and I felt a massive spirit woody. Like it went woo like that, and she felt it too. And I'm like, they want to communicate with me. Here's some more.
Did you say a massive spirit woody?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just being silly, but yeah, it was like,
I love
woo.
it.
Woo. Okay. So these are I don't know, like, and then I've also got these. And so, but yeah, but these are the original ones. So, but the thing is, I looked it up and I looked this up, and what I found is some of these were Syrian. And I'm thinking, how can that be? Because I've never looked at anything like this. Someone could say, I looked it up. This was not even in my, I mean, look, I'm from the Bible Belt. I was born in Hickory, North Carolina. WTF. I mean, really? No, these just started coming out of me after I saw that freaking ship. I mean, you know, I don't care if people believe it or not. I mean, people that know me know that I think it's entertaining and interesting. This was not my world till recently. And I'm going, okay, but I don't feel fear. Actually, honestly, it's very exciting. I was very, very freaking excited to see the mothership, because I actually think they're the ones that's the cavalry.
Oh, the cavalry, they're coming in to, no, I wouldn't say rescue, but to assist, because
to assist.
They're not here to.
Yeah, if things get really bad, they're just going to show. I already had visions. They're like coming out of the ocean like crazy, motherships.
Oh my God.
Not the bad ones or the whatever.
No.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So if things get really crazy, like, oh my God, this is crazy, they're going to show up. Mm-hmm.
That is lovely. I've heard this similarly in different ways, in terms of they're not going to save us from ourselves, but they will help us in saving us and saving us from ourselves. Like, they're not here to be our saviors, but they're here to be a support, so we don't annihilate ourselves.
Well, they're our family. There are, you know, okay, people are going, this is weird. Okay. Open your brains up. Just, you know, everybody, here's the deal. Earth is a very young planet. We live forever. We are from other places millions of years ago. We don't die. We are part of creation. We can't die, even if we wanted to. We have to keep creating. You know, we've looked different ways. I've run over 300 hours of past lives, and I was run on Arcturian stuff at least 25 years ago. I didn't even know what that was. I thought I made it up. So and I have memory of Atlantis. I was an oracle there. I was also a mermaid. Love mermaids. I know, Michelle, you love mermaids. I love mermaids too. I'm having a mermaid lady on. She actually has written books on mermaids, and I'm so psyched. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we get to talk about this stuff. Look, I'm not getting rich doing any of this, but is this the best job ever?
Right.
I mean, where we get to talk about this stuff, and like, is like the best. It's funny. I'm having a modern day werewolf hunter on my show Thursday, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is like the best. This is like the best job like ever, because you get to do the same kind of thing and the same topics and the same. Is it fun?
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Oh, it's definitely, it's our sanctuary, in terms of being able to come here together and join our hearts and join our experiences. And I always, you know, generally speaking, I come away really on I have a spiritual Woody when I leave these our talks.
Now you're gonna say
like,
that. You're like, woo! What?
Back up! I gotta. But we got about 15 minutes left, and I know that Michelle has a client at the top of the hour. So, ladies, do you have any final questions for our lovely Tamara? Other than we're going to have you back on, and Tamara is going to come and do a holiday show with us. She said she's already going to do live readings for a holiday show because of Bama. So it'll be fun. It'll be.
Oh, I love communicating with spirit and people's spirit family, and I also channel, and I can channel on the spot. So if you want me to channel, I don't do it very much, but I like you guys. So, hey.
Bless you. Thank you. Julia, hop in, lady.
Yeah, well, I have a question. Like, have you ever experienced any ETs during your NDEs, or was it more something that came up afterwards? Like, I'm specifically, when you mentioned that you had experienced light beings in your NDEs, but you weren't sure who they were. That's what I had listened to in another podcast. Do you have any idea if they were people, if they're spirits, if they're ETs, or what do you think about that?
You know, at this point, everything's on the table. I think when I saw when I'm 3 with the whole nail, and I saw beings of light, and they would come in on the staircase, like Gone with the Wind. They were on the staircase, they were everywhere, and they were coming in. And then I heard a voice of God say, "It's not your time. You have much to do." And they started leaving, like, false alarm. And they started leaving. I felt like they were people that I knew, but obviously I'm 3. I don't know that many people, at 3, how many people do you know? So past lives and so forth, but I do, could there be? Sure. So they felt like they were, human consciousness, people
Right.
that I knew, because they seemed to be very supportive. Maybe I knew them in another life. I feel like the one I went out into space that time, remember, I hung out like the Milky Way and hung out in space. I think I had a download on that one. I do. But now this is so much better. I'm like, don't want to keep dying. You know what I mean? I don't need to. I'm actually very healthy. People go, no, I'm very healthy. I keep coming back. Well, with the help of Jesus resurrected me. But it's so much better this way, just having recall. And I think that and I just want to get this clear, that just to say this, because it may be confusing to people watching. And I want to see what you all think about this. But I didn't know about this before, but the way I understand it now is that with the DNA activation is this. Activation to me is kind of like a sleeper cell. And their mom, well, there was a movie with Gina Davis in it, and they're making sandwiches. And then all of a sudden they hear the word hot dog, and they turn into like a ninja warrior, and they start like, kicking butt. It's like it if you're a starseed, it just turns you on or not. It's like a key. So it activated. It's like an instant. It was an instant. It wasn't like, a lot of things are progressive with spirituality, and they're not all great. Sometimes you have the dark moment of the soul, because you have to leave your old self behind and progress. And, Kundalini awakens. I'm just saying that, you can have moments of, woo, spirit woodies, but this was not that. This was just an instant. I remember it was an instant, waking up. And I just had no reality on that. And it is really, really good stuff.
That's how it was with me too. Yeah, it was just
really
like this
instant
snap of a finger, and I was blown open to the ET stuff. Like it was like
it was one time.
Yeah.
It was one time for you.
Yeah.
That's what was me.
Yeah.
It was instant.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was like, it wasn't even like, I kind of thought maybe there were ETs. Like it was like my whole reality just shifted.
Same thing.
In a snap. And it has never gone back. Like it's.
Well, yeah, you're open. It will never go back.
Yeah.
No, it's only good from here. And here's the thing about fear. I don't feel fearful about this. These are not the ones that are doing experiments. I know they healed some. Preston said some of the grays heal, but it's more like, thanks for your service. We healed your lungs. Here's your goo. But he talked about the black goo in a jar. We healed the cancer. But these are the higher level ones. These are the higher level beings that honestly, I think a lot of the new children being born and some of us that we are, that's why we feel it's so important right now to spread love and light. And I was picking with you, Linda, but I love what you said. Look, we'll support you. Love and light is a safe platform. We can discuss things, but if you're a troll and going to say ugly things, you're going to have to go bye-bye. Because we don't need to tolerate that. I mean, didn't we learn growing up, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Right?
Yeah, I believe it's very much okay for us, especially as we move into this. My phrase is not in my house, not in my place, not in my space, not in my life. There's no room for that.
Well, it's about being kind and loving and respectful. Even if you disagree, it's totally okay.
Exactly.
We're all learning from one another. If someone had told me this a while back, I would have listened, but it wouldn't have been real to me. And it's still honestly not completely real to me, even looking at seeing these things. And now I'm having physical things manifest. So the last one that I saw Sunday, I don't know what they gave me a download. I don't know what it is. I don't feel different. But based on what the woman said, Mary Rodwell, that when you see one, they do. I just don't know what they imparted or what I have or what, I don't know that. I mean, look, I'm learning too. And this is a whole different level for me. And now I'm channeling Chiron And apparently I just finished my golden grid around the earth and now I have more healing energy. Well,
Wow.
WTF. And
I
then
was laughing because that was my first, those were the words that I used, only they were extended out when I saw my first.
I mean, you just have
What's
to
a
go,
fadoodle?
what?
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
was very much a what the.
yeah. So now I'm channeling Chiron. I didn't even know who he was. He talked about his magnetism, and I'm like, your personality is like, no. And then Saint Germain, the Archangels, more so like
Right.
Raziel, sacred geometry. I'm channeling the Elohim, Lord Apollo, all sorts of, I mean, now I'm channeling the freaking Syrians. You know, where is this going to go? You have to, at some point when it gets really great, you have to almost laugh. Cause I mean, you think, where is this life? Where is it going? But I think that life is so much bigger than we ever thought it was. You know, we're bigger, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we need to wrap it up. I hate wrapping it up. This is it's so good. And you're just dropping all these bombshells here. It's like, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that. So we're definitely going to have you on the show again. I'm going to watch the show and like watch our show and take notes so we can know what to go into next time, because channeling
Sure.
Chiron is that's a whole conversation right there. But
Crazy.
let's go ahead and let Miss Linda do her part to thank all of our wonderful people that have joined us today.
Gallery view, so you can see the
Gallery view, Brady Bunch view.
I just want to thank all of the wonderful people, some special love in there. We have a dear friend in our group that had some tragedy this morning and lost her beautiful kitty. And so we're going to send love out to her. And but she came to us and came with us in the show because we're family too. And I just want to send my love and light to her and to everybody else that's joining us that has gone through. And if you missed the beginning, we'll get this straightened out. Zoom has done some really bizarre things that are kicking our you-know-what. So we will get that figured out so you don't have a delay again. But it is there. Go back and watch it if you missed the very beginning, because it is so worth it. And I want to thank you again. Make sure that you check out the links below. Thanks again for the coffees. And join our Facebook group if you haven't, because we have such great discussions there. All right? And Kat, what's happening next week? Can't hear you. You're muted.
I'm back. Thank you, Ms. Linda. So yeah, next week we have Reverend Ned, and he's just freaking magical. Like, he's somebody who had a connection with nature as a kid and never lost it. So he sees fairies. He's had encounters with Pleiadians. He's had an NDE as well. And so, but he was magical before this. He has encounters with Native American elders that are not physical, like on the other side. Just tremendous. So he's just so warm and real and generous, and he's just like overflowing with love. So I'm super obviously excited to have him on the show. And yeah, and I just want to thank Miss Jillian and Ms. Michelle for being here as well. And of course, Linda, thank you all, ladies. And thank you, Tamara. It's been an absolute delight. It's just been a gift to have you. You crack me up. I laugh so hard.
We have fun.
So it's been a joy.
Thank you all so much. You're just, I want to thank each of you, Michelle, Jillian, Kat, Linda, and Courtney, which I haven't met, for putting this platform together and creating a soul community, you know, much like it's like, I feel like we're sister channels, you know, the Seeking Heaven channel, and that we have similar things that we're trying to accomplish. And I know how hard it is, and you're putting yourself out there and you're coming together in love and light, despite what people are saying. We're determined we're going to bring love and togetherness and unity here. And I just really admire what you're doing and have so much love for all of you.
Thank you so much.
Much love.
That's so
Namaste.
beautiful.
And
Namaste.
Lots of love over to all of our chat people, because they've just been wonderful, soaking everything in and adding their own. So thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Perfect.
All
Thank
right,
you.
with that,
Hashtag tight Gene Jesus. Tight Gene Jesus from now on. All right.
and
Love
then
you
by
all.
Jesus.
Bye, guys. Big love.
Bye.
Love.
Bye.